find it interesting, as you mentioned in your book, that sports events don't typically produce very large effects. And I wonder what you think about that. Is it maybe because this more competitive mental state is itself less coherent in a way, or perhaps it's because it's more that there's an intention to win, but it's maybe cancelled out by the other team's intention or the other supporters of the team? Like, what is your interpretation of why sports events in particular typically don't tend to produce very significant effects?
I think the nature of those kinds of events which reliably have an effect, it has a fundamental connecting quality. Things like compassion and love and deep engagement that is synchronized tend to be the sort of things we see producing effects. Now, sporting events are very exciting and they raise high emotions, but there is indeed, as you suggest, there's a competitive quality to them and therefore conflicting intentions and hopes and dreams. And it seems likely that the reason that sporting events don't reliably show departures in our data, which would reflect the high intensity of the emotion and the connection that people have to the sporting event, is because that the styles of connection really are not coherent. They're focused in opposite directions. The competing intentions and aspirations will cancel each other in terms of an effect on the REG trace. It's an unsettled question ultimately. I think if we had a lot more people involved and a lot more time and money, it would be possible to pull apart the effects more effectively in sporting events. For example, if we were able to look at the details and maybe have ratings of what's going on during the time that were independent of the data trace, we would find that things like a really surprising goal that just took the breath out of everyone and synchronized everyone's attention for a moment, that such a thing might more reliably produce effects in our data.
Like in the soccer game, the best player in the world just lost, and you are so happy. Rejoicing in the loss of others, or rejoicing in the crimes of others, or rejoicing in the negative activities of others. You know, like the fofoka is happening, the beers, we're drinking the beer and the fofoka is happening, and you know, the guy says, I told my boss this and I told my boss that, and there you are and you're cheering him on. Good for you, great, you know, you told him what to do with it. Rejoicing in other people's flaws is very important to be careful about, because joy has a great, what do you call it, a great amplification. When you rejoice in someone's qualities, it's equal to you having those qualities. This is something I was so amazed about. I think in all of the Dharma, enlightenment and everything are very amazing things, very remarkable, incomprehensibly vast and great, magnificent things. But I was really, truly surprised by the teaching on joy. I was surprised when Rinpoche said that if you take joy in someone else's good actions, you create equal merit to their good action. If someone gives a friend $100 because the friend needs money, and you think, great, wonderful, I'm so happy, I really rejoice that you did that. That joy that you exercise and that you cultivate in your own heart, mind, sincere joy, creates the same amount of merit as giving the $100. Isn't that amazing? And it's just by the power of joy, by the power of rejoicing. By rejoicing, you join in the action. By rejoicing that he gave that money, it was as if you gave that money too. You join in that action by your joy. This is how Rinpoche explained it. But if you do the same thing and you take joy in someone else's failure, you take joy in someone else's crime, or you take joy in someone else's fall, then you join in that also. And you create equal amount of non-virtue to the amount of non-virtue that they created. And so joy is very powerful and is something that we need to really explore and understand how it works so that you can actually engage in joy. Because in our lives, I think these days as unenlightened beings in our particular world, we have so much, but we are so unhappy. It's amazing how unhappy we are with so much. Because of course, things don't produce happiness, but what produces happiness is joy. But we don't take joy. We're not offering joy. We're not taking joy. We're not giving joy. We're not rejoicing. And so then we don't have joy. We just have depression. And why not me? Poor me. What about me? You know, digging a hole of self-sadness and self-morose and self-criticism. Instead of, forget the hole and just rejoice in the fortune and happiness of others, the fortune and happiness of a mother bird feeding her babies. How much joy you can take in that. How much joy you can take in the sun shining today, on this beautiful day. May all people enjoy this beautiful day, rejoicing for all of them. Rejoicing for the winners of the soccer ball team, rejoicing, but not rejoicing in that so-and-so lost, but rejoicing in every way towards everything positive.